back side of your worksheet, and then this is where we kind of left off. So to recap on this, go step by step, we drew our letter A out first. Then we did a very simple block letter. And now we're making it three-dimensional to where we can see it from the right-hand side and where you can see the bottoms, okay? So yesterday I was just putting in these diagonals. Technically, these diagonals happen at every corner, but a lot of the times you can't see some of them because the A already blocks up. So for example, this line, it's technically in there, but the face of the A is blocking it. Same thing here and here. And here. So they're there, but we just don't see them because it blocks itself out, okay? So now what I want to do, so the only other one that I'm going to be able to see is this inner one right here. So kind of like that. Now I just want to connect them all out by making kind of like line mates or line pairs or line partners, whatever. So parallel lines. So I just want to connect these, I call them kind of end cap lines, together by mimicking the angle and direction of that line across from it. Okay, so down here at the bottom, those lines are just straight across. Like this, this, and here as well. They're just straight across. So then this line here is going to match this one. And then the last one that I'm figuring out is this inner part. And so really this line here goes up through the A. So I'm showing that via a dotted line. And then it doesn't really start until right there. And then it's kind of I match to here. Okay, now you don't have to shade, but I'm going to show you which faces are all on the same plane. Okay, so my bottoms, I'm going to make those the darkest. You can do this with me if you want, you don't have to. But these are all on the same plane. So if I were to choose like a color or I were to choose some shading to show dimension, these are all the same, just kind of like how we learned in our value project. Sometimes things were the same values if they were on the same plane. Okay, and then now these, even though they're kind of going in different directions, they're still kind of on the same plane-ish. So I'm going to make these kind of a light gray, a light value. And then I'll have the face of my A be like pure white. And then this here is a negative space. That's a hole. Okay, so that's there. We've shown form. Let's do an S now. Okay, so draw yourself out a capital S. And I'll do two different versions of this one too. Okay, so I'm going to end cap here, and I'm going to end cap here. And now the parallel line for the S is you're basically you just have to follow the curves. So I'll start with this one, and your goal is you just want to keep an equal amount of space. So notice how I'm sketching my line, how I'm using a sketching technique by picking up my pencil multiple times. And I just want to follow the curve and keep an equal amount of space, equidistant. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take out that middle S. Okay, let's start making this 3D. And we're going to change the direction a little bit. So instead of seeing it from the bottom like we are seeing the A, we're going to see from the top. So the easiest place to start is in this area right here. because we got these diagonal lines like this, and it's just making like a little parallelogram. Okay. Now if we come up to these corners, I've got one here, and technically there's one there, but the S blocks it, so I can't see it. So I'm just going to leave that there for right now. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys like what I've done all day today in showing how to make this three-dimensional. And then when I'm finished with it, I'm going to do a really quick example of how, like on the screen, I just kind of missed a line. So we'll have another one of these kind of projecting out from the side bottom right there. It really should match that angle, but sometimes it looks a little silly. And now I want to follow my, so the deal with curves are you're not going to follow in curves because it kind of curves and changes directions. They're going to like disappear. They're going to fall behind itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight down with this line here, let that curve, and then disappear behind that. Okay, I'm going to kind of do that same technique here. I'm going to go all the way up. So that's going to kind of curve out and curve in and may end there. Maybe it kind of curves up a little like that. You're trying to keep it equal distance. Jared can't see. Jay, oh, okay, 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 here. Better? Better? Do you want me to draw darker too? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to darken everything up. So I got this. Okay, guys, so I'm just going over what I've drawn just to make it darker so you can see it better. Okay, can you guys see it better now? Okay. All right, and then the last one, and this is how I've been showing it all day today. So we're gonna come here and then we're gonna let it, since it's a curve, we're gonna let it disappear like this. Okay, now on the screen, now I'm just gonna do this point. So kind of right in here. So I want you to make like a guideline that divides the space up into equal parts. Okay? So you're just kind of dividing this up into equal spaces. Now this is the technique that we're going to be using on our actual like project. So while this seems maybe a little redundant, it's going to be important later on. Okay? So in this, it's to help us with letter spacing. Now we don't have to worry about too much if you've got a short name. But if you have a long name, like if I was to do my last name, that's a lot of letters, and I have to make sure that I can fit them all in the space that's given, okay? Art's not that hard to do. So on this middle line, and because it has an odd amount of letters, R is going to be centered up right here in the middle. Okay, and then in this space, I'll have the T, and in this space, I have the A. So I want kind of like it to be equally spaced out in between. So you guys don't have to draw this, but this is usually like what happens. So say this is my space given, and I'm going to use my last name because I got a lot of letters. So you guys will be like super confident, and you'll be like, yes, I'm getting these letters. And then you're like, oh no, I'm running out of room. And like that happens, and then like your project looks bad because you didn't think it through. Okay.
Wait, is that our project?
Wait, you write it to where it looks like it's on a wall, like a corner.
Oh, like it's going falling off the wall.
No, like it's like one part's on a corner and the other part's like fading.
Oh, I get you. Like it turned a corner. That is that's good problem solving there, Jimmy. Okay. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, Tim. thinking you guys can't handle sitting next to each other anymore. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to block out our letter, but we're also gonna manipulate and create a more interesting font at the same time. So I'm kind of like combining two different steps. Okay, so all I'm going to do is, if this is easy for you and you kind of want to work ahead, why don't you come up with your own graffiti font? Okay, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm looking off of this font up here that's on your, I'm going to copy it. So I'm just going to show you guys how you would draw this out and how you can manipulate simple letters. Okay, if you don't want to go off of this font, come up with your own, but it has to be more interesting than just like this for an A. That won't work. That's not interesting at all. Okay? So we need to make it more better. More better. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with end caps. So end caps for me are just kind of like the short stopping lines, okay? So just looking at what I can see here, I've got an end cap and they are parallel to each other. They go the same direction. The line for the A kind of goes past. So we have an end cap here and it goes in a different, the opposite direction, diagonally. Then we have another end cap that follows this direction. And then the top end cap actually kind of curves like this. I'm going to come back to that to finish the A. I'll slow down. So if you look at this, I did this line, this one, this one, this one, and then I kind of went there. So that's all I've done for this A. So let me put it back up here and then I will pause for a minute to let some people catch up. Okay, so now I'm going to do some of my horizontal end caps. So I have one here, and I have one here. So now I'm going to kind of connect everything out. So I'm just going to kind of draw slow. I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to sketch slow. And then you guys can just kind of follow. So I've got here, and I'm going to do a directional change, and I'm going to connect, I'm going to pause. So now I'm kind of blocking out, kind of using parallel lines-ish, okay? So now I'm going to, bless you, I'm going to connect these two, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to connect these two, just like that. Okay, well, I guess I technically forgot a couple end caps. So like I could have had one that comes off of here, like right there, and right here. So it's like I have an unfinished rhombus. Okay, then I'm going to connect that out. So I did this one. Then the last thing that I want to do here is I want to kind of follow this curve a little bit, and then I want to parallel to this line. So I'm going to kind of curve that up, and then I'm going to come straight down. Well, diagonally down. Then I'm going to erase my inner A that I started with. And I'm going to kind of expand out on this little end cap that I put in the middle. I'm just going to turn that kind of into a triangle. So I'm going to lengthen that out. I want to follow this, so I want to make a parallel line to here. But then I want this side to curve a little bit. I want to give that side a little bit of character. Okay. So there is where we've kind of like meshed two steps together, where we've blocked the letter out, but we've also manipulated it at the same time. Okay, you guys think that you can manage that? If this was too hard to like block and manipulate at the same time, then block first and then kind of change it. But you end up just kind of drawing over a lot of what you've already drawn. So that's why I just tried to mesh these two steps. Now we need to make this 3D. The best way to go about this with me is just to watch and then put those lines in after I've done it. Because basically anytime that I've got a corner, whether it be an innie or an outie, as long as my letter, like the front face of my letter A does not block it, it's going to have a diagonal line coming out, okay? So I'm just gonna start up here at the top, and I'm just gonna start drawing them in. And like I said, basically regardless on if it's an outie corner or an innie corner, then, so I also want to stay inside my box. So I'm not really gonna see much of this diagonal line right here. Then I've got one here, here, there's a lot. Here. Turn the brightness up. Maybe if I get my... Is that better? Okay. Now the lamp's in. Does that bother anybody? No? Okay. It's kind of in the video too. Hold on. Okay, so I've got this side now, like any corner right there, and then here, and then here. Okay, so I'm going to pause to let you guys catch up. Like I said, basically, like if the front part of the A isn't blocking it out, there's a line. Now I'm going to start connecting them all. And maybe I go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to start here. Now I'm just connecting with parallels. So this line matches this one. So I'm just matching to the line that would be across from it, ish. There. This one just goes straight across and just kind of disappears behind that leg. Then I have this one. Then I have this one. Then I'm just gonna let this, whoop. I'm gonna let that fall off the page there because I want to stay within this box. This one I'm gonna also kind of let fall off the page because I want to stay inside the box. Then I'm gonna jump up to this one. Then this one will be a straight, and then this one's kind of curved. Okay, then last three-dimensional part on here is this inside, and I'm just gonna, it's just a parallel line to this one, like that. Okay, guys, you have to understand on this, when you choose on your project where your 3D is coming from, whether you're gonna see it from the bottom, you're gonna see the bottom parts of your letters, or whether you're gonna see from the top, or if it's coming from the left-hand side or the right-hand side, you have to match, all of your letters have to match that. So some of you think that you make 3D all the way around. So you'll have like your 3D here, but then you're also having it from on this side. That won't be right. So you need to keep that in mind, okay? Or sometimes you flip your perspective where you have it coming from the bottom here, but then you see the tops, and I mean, that's okay. We kind of did that on our form shape project, but really you should kind of stick with one viewpoint for all your letters, okay? All right, let's keep moving on. We're gonna go with the R, and I want it to overlap the A, and so I'm gonna draw it on top of it. And was making a point. Oh, overlapping and underlapping. So we're doing kind of an overlap here. In your overall project, you have to show that at least once, some type of overlapping or some type of letter connection where you have at least two of your letters interacting with each other. In the past, I used to have it like all letters need to interact. So I'm kind of backing off on that. Okay, so the R, again, I'm just kind of copying what's up in that right-hand corner, okay? So I'm going to start it here. So instead of making a parallel line straight down, I'm shifting this leg onto its side. And I'm going to overlap the A. So I'm going to draw it right on top. So I'm going to let that leg come there. Then my end cap for that leg kind of just switches, goes the opposite direction up and to the right instead of down and to the left. Now I'm going to parallel to this line. I'm going to curve it a little bit, just give it some interest. And I'm going to come up to about that guideline. And I'll pause. So then this next leg, I want it to kind of go underneath this one a little bit, and it kind of comes out and then angles in quite a bit. So just watch what I'm doing. So I'm kind of going kind of straight across, but I'm going to angle it down to the right a little bit. So it's like I'm making an upside down backwards L. So here, and then I'm going to angle. So technically that line's there, but it's behind it. So dot, 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 dot. Then it would show back up here. This one, it's an imaginary one. So don't worry about that one. Then I want to angle this one down and to the right, and I'll just hit that black line there. And then while I've made that really angular, I want to make the top part of this leg like really curvy. And I want to play with kind of line thickness. So I want some of the leg to be really thin, and I want some of the leg to be really thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this line out like really close to right here. So maybe you guys just watch what I do and then just repeat. So I'm going to keep it really close here. I'm going to angle it up so it gets, that line gets real thick and curvy, and I'm going to bring it back down like that. Now I'm trying to decide, do I want it like that curvy? So here's where you can kind of change that up. Maybe I don't like that hard angle right there. So maybe I want to kind of like curve that out a little bit more too. Where? Which one? The middle line? The guideline? There's too many lines. I can't keep track. There's just too many lines. Yeah, that's just kind of art in general. There's too many lines. Unless you're Rothko, then it's just color. There really are no lines. Okay, so then I'm going to finish this little boot leg thing out, whatever. Maybe I want it to kind of change direction and curve a little bit there. I'm just trying to add interest to my letters. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish out the R by kind of drawing an oval. Kind of like that. And then I'm erasing my guidelines. So I'm getting rid of what I don't need anymore, like that middle guideline and that original R. Okay? So that's what I got. I like the feel of that one even better than the letter A that I have there. Okay, and then in the middle, I'm just going to draw like a teardrop or watermelon seed or whatever. Whatever you want to call it. And then I gotta go through and make it 3D. What? Oh, you're lucky. I didn't hear it. I'm still thinking about my faux pas on the back of this worksheet. I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I just didn't even know what I was walking into. It's like I set myself up for it and just... Good thing Miss Key Sweater didn't come in when I was doing that. Oh boy. Mr. Weed might have laughed. I don't know, Miss Key Sweater would have. Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm not sure what his reaction would have been. Yeah? So you're kind of cool. All right. Let's get this 3D'd. Okay. So if my perspective is coming, I want it to match this letter also. So and what I'm going to do is, because it gets kind of confusing down here at the legs, I'm going to do like a couple of diagonals, and then I'm going to draw the parallel line. Then I'm going to go onto the diagonal and draw the parallel line. So I'm doing it a little different on this one than I did here. So what I mean by that is I'm going to draw my diagonal here and here, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw that. I'm going to connect them. So I'm just going to go like kind of one at a time like that. Because like I said, it gets confusing down here. Okay, so I did this, connect. Then my next diagonal is this one. And then I'm going to connect. And get rid of that guideline. Technically, the 3D for here, because I want to stay on my box, I only have to do this, because this overlaps it. Okay, and I kind of curved this out, so my 3D for here, so I'm going to go... Sorry, hold on. You're so understanding. It's a really nice reprieve from 6th hour, I'll tell you that. Okay. They're just a happy good bunch. Okay, so here I'm just kind of following that curve, and it'd be kind of something like that. Okay, here now, this is where we're kind of like breaking our own little rule, but like so much of this R is still like on this side that we're gonna see some of the top. Okay, but it's kind of like the first S that I showed you. So it would start like here, and then it would just kind of disappear into itself. So we're like kind of breaking a rule there, because technically we're not supposed to really be seeing anything from the top. And then my very last one is this right here. That's it. Okay, so now it's all in 3 dimension. Okay. The letter T, I'm going to draw that out quickly. There isn't really a whole lot to it. So this one's going to be a lot speedier than the other ones, okay? It's going to overlap the R a little bit, so that's where I'm going to start. And again, I'm just copying what I see up here. So if I lose you, just draw what you see up there, okay? All right, so here we go. I'm going to start by overlapping the R downward to the right angle. Then I've got a horizontal. I'm going to come in pretty close to the original T that I drew, and then I'm going to diagonal that out so it's a lot wider and go almost to the end of that box. Then I'm going to come back up here and I want to go horizontal again to that T. It's got a little topper to it. So I'll go straight up, diagonal down, kind of like drawing a triangle-ish a little bit. Bring it in some. I'll kind of go down a little bit and then draw that other horizontal. I want to stay within that box, and instead of going straight horizontal, I want to diagonal this up a little bit. Okay, then, I want to bring that in. Going to diagonal that up in a different direction than this one. Then I've got horizontal, and then kind of same thing. I want to get kind of narrow here, then kind of start tapering it up, and then change direction, kind of like I did with the letter A. You can't really see it anymore. Connect those out. I'm going to take that original T out of there. And then I got to start looking at my 3-dimension. Okay, so I'll have one here. Gonna mimic that. So I'll have it here, here, draw that parallel. I'll have one from this any corner here. Off the side, and then the last one that, well, we might have, let's see, are we gonna see that? Nope, 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 we won't see that. But we will see this one, here, and there, because we're seeing from the underneath side. Okay. Mic drop. There we go. Okay, so what you guys are going to do now is I'm gonna call you up one by one in a specific order to start getting a new seating chart. Okay, so you guys are gonna be working independently, and then I'm just gonna be calling people up one by one. So what I want you to do on this worksheet here, in these last 5 boxes, what you're going to do is you're going to put a different letter in each of those boxes, and you're going to try a different font for each of those letters. Now you can just start like using your name if you want, or it needs to be an appropriate word. Do not do what I did, okay? All right, so maybe just start with your name, because you're gonna have to practice your name anyway, okay? You can either come up with your own font, but like I said, you can't do this and be like, yeah, that's not good. That's not good font, okay? It needs to be more manipulated than that. So you're gonna have to like kind of try. You're doing a lot of like drawing from observation on this one. So your resources, if you can't come up with any from your own head, there are packets up here by my printer. And then the better one, let me show you on my computer. If you go into Canvas and you go into modules and you find the unit for graffiti, I have a link for a website right there that you can click on and go, or you can go into this presentation and find this slide. The link that you're looking for is this, dafont.com. It's not the picture, it's the links right here. You click on that, and that takes you right to like a graffiti, like it gives you a bunch of different examples, okay? And there are a ton of pages. Now, the other side to this is not only do you have to show a different font for each letter, but you have to show 3-dimensionality, not blacked in. So like this one, you have to get kind of more, like this one, it would kind of work-ish. Like this one, that's a really cool font, but it's not in 3D. But you should have the tools now to be able to make it 3D. So you can go in there and pick any one of these that you would like, but it has to be 3-dimensional, okay? That's interesting. Billy Bop Madge Tag, okay? So this one's cool. I like that one, but not 3D, okay? So you can either pick ones if kind of coming up with 3D is difficult for you, then maybe find one that already has it done for you, but don't blacken it in. Leave it open. Okay? All right, does anybody have any questions over that? I've done this one before. Whew, that's tough. Yeah, I've got an example of it from last year. But you can also like go in and you can like click. So here's the cool thing. So let me show you how to work it. So you can click on it. And then let's say maybe you want like your own name. So I can put my name in there. I can change the size to large and then I can hit submit and it's gonna give me those letters right there. So like that's my first name.
I was gonna say, it looks like it says Carl.
It does. The Y does kind of look like an S. So maybe if I put in my last name, I think the reason I did my first name is because I was like, oh my dear Lord. And I don't even have the N. I have to change the size on this to go down to medium so I can get all my letters in there. And then it also shows it individually down here too. Sometimes it shows, those are just A's all over. Sometimes it shows numbers and stuff too. So that's how you can do that also. If you find a font that you really like let's maybe look at a different one. Like this one was kind of cool. So you can click on that. Type your name in, and then it gives it to you right, well, sort of. Oh, Anderson. There we go. Then it gives it to you right there. So that's how you can use that. Does anybody have any questions over that? Negatory? Cool. So I'm gonna maybe be able to get 2 or 3 people up to do the seating chart, and that's it, because we only have a couple minutes. Okay? All right, guys.